About a tight 90 on the deuce. Let's go. Welcome to SportsCenter from our nation's capital. The Phoenix Suns, in pursuit of their first ever NBA championship, are 3 wins away. I'm Scott Van Pelt with you until 1 a.m. Eastern Time. Comprehensive post-game coverage. You know what to expect. Tim Legler will be here. He'll show you what the Suns did specifically to attack the Bucks defense. Stephen A. Smith here as well. We will hear from someone on the Suns, either Ayton or Bridges, we believe, or perhaps Chris Paul. And we'll get the Bucks' perspective on what went wrong. To the highlights as the Suns grab the opener to the Valley. Great deal of excitement as Chris Paul arriving for his first finals, and Giannis at hyperextended knee questions would he be available. It's the NBA Finals. If he can go, he's going to try to give it a go, and he does that early on, spinning and hitting. Giannis to the bench after playing 5. Giannis working on Jay Crowder. Gets to his left hand. DeAndre Ayton taking his turn. Giannis is able to bully his way to the rim. 8 points on 3 of 4 from the floor. 5 boards in the first quarter, but the Suns had a 4-point advantage. Suns lead by 3. That looks like a mismatch, and it is. Paul. This is going to be something Tim Legler will point out. Basically picking who he wanted to guard him. Hits that one over Brook Lopez. Devin Booker was tremendous in this game. Thought for sure this guy would show out on this stage of the playoffs, and that's all he has been doing. Giannis with a chase down here. Bridges looks like he's got a lane. Mikal Bridges gets chased down by Giannis with a big block. So trying to impact both ends of the floor. But again, it's the Suns that had the lead, and they worked from a pretty comfortable margin. Again, it's Paul. This time he's guarded by Lopez. Hits the 3, gets the foul. Lopez called for that flagrant. Can't step under. Every time that happens, you immediately think of what happened with Kawhi against the Warriors. That big lead went bye-bye. Paul, beautiful, to Ayton up top. Comfortable working margin. Booker gets caught, finds Paul. All 3 of these from the corner. And the Valley has got its full support behind Paul and the Suns. In his bag there, working on Portis. That's just not a fair fight. Shout to George Gervin. One thing I could do was finger roll and pull from 3 while we're at it. Booker or Paul assisted or scored 29 of the Suns' 35 in the third quarter, and that comfortable margin now reaching blowout territory. The question was, would the Bucks have a run in them? And the answer, kinda. Giannis the kick ahead to Chris Middleton, who had a big game, finds Bryn Forbes, single digits. After it got down to 7, Book can't leave that man naked from 3 like that. Again, it's who do you want to guard you? Get Connaughton. Paul gave it to everybody. Not picking on any one defender in particular. All right, Giannis, clever, draw the contact, get the and one. And it was just a 7-point game a second ago. Not anymore. As Chris Paul and the Phoenix Suns built that comfortable lead. 13-point lead. Paul, Ayton, again. The fine finish. This time it's a double, and Ayton. The rewards of being a terrible team. They got Ayton and Bridges in that same 18 draft. They're putting their fingerprints on it. As is Booker, as is Chris Paul. And you see the most points by a starting backcourt making a finals debut. So it's a very specific sort of criteria here. And Paul and Booker go for 59 in this one. And we welcome in Tim Legler. And Tim,
Well, it was a sensational performance. You've got a veteran leader that's had 16 years in the league, and even with devoid of a championship, is still recognized as one of the greatest point guards to have ever played this game. But when you couple that with the inabilities of the Milwaukee Bucks, you look at CP3 and you say, well, duh, what did you expect from him? When you're going to put Bobby Portis on them, when you got Brook Lopez on them, when you got P.J. Tucker on them. Wilbon and I were just talking about that a few minutes ago. What the hell do you expect is going to happen? It is mind-boggling to me how I don't want to be insulting, but absolutely clueless the Milwaukee Bucks appeared last night in being prepared for this game. You know that CP3 and Devin Booker, you know what they're going to give to you, particularly when they're hitting their perimeter shots. But a guy like CP3 is literally picking defenders. Who am I going to pick on next?
Right.
And absolutely, positively no adjustment was made whatsoever, and that's why he looked so spectacular.
So you didn't want to be insulting, but they were clueless.
Yeah, I'm trying to be. Look, Scott, man. I'm trying to be nice, but at the same time, give you and our audience what it is. Tim Legler was right there. He's far nicer than me, I guess. But the bottom line is, he knows exactly what I'm saying. If you look at the adjustments and then look at the ball movement, look at how Monty Williams has these guys moving without the ball. But Milwaukee was standing around and just trying to give the ball to Middleton.
I understand, and I'm trying to be nice to you, but Chris Paul's standing by, and so I'm going to have to say thank you for now, and we will welcome Chris a little bit later. You're going to show us some of the specifics of how Paul was able to hunt the matchups he wanted, but just the overarching sort of themes that stand out, bullet points from this victory from the Suns. What were they?
First, for me, there was two completely different levels of sharpness in this game. I'm sorry, Phoenix was just so much more prepared, so much more confident, so much more sure of what they were doing, what they were trying to accomplish. They basically had Chris Paul and DeAndre Ayton be the absolute best versions of themselves, and Devin Booker does what he does. He got to his number. He didn't shoot the ball great, but to have your three best players play that well, and you look at Milwaukee, Giannis clearly wasn't himself. Chris Middleton was pretty good overall most of the night, and Drew Holiday wasn't very good offensively. He lost his aggressiveness once again. So for me, no comparison in the two teams tonight. That did not feel like, at one point it was 9 with 6 minutes to go. That felt like a 25-point game to me. Phoenix was that much sharper than the Milwaukee Bucks tonight. And the other thing that you can tell is the deflections, the active hands. The difficulty Milwaukee had just completing simple passes in their half-court offense shows you how prepared Phoenix was for what they were trying to do to them, what they were running, where their next body movement was going to be. I just thought Phoenix was all over this. And that's coaching, it's confidence, and it's an incredible amount of trust amongst their teammates and chemistry. They were ready. They did not look like the stage was too big for them at all. And that's a great sign for Phoenix going forward in this series.
And we can tell you that Chris Paul will be joining us here on the show a little bit later. And Tim, let's widen this out a little bit to welcome Stephen A. Smith into the conversation. And Stephen A., I remember saying a while back on this show that welcome back to the program, for a tremendous performance tonight.
What's happening?
You've been through so much in this game. There's nothing that's new to you, and yet this is the first finals game, and I wonder what, if anything, about it felt different than anything you have experienced to date in your illustrious career.
Another game, obviously. The stakes a little higher. The intensity was there, but we're prepared. Our coaches prepared us. All of our guys on our team, we didn't put in the work, so now it's time to get to it.
And you did get to it, and just your ability to find the matchup you wanted and exploit it, was that what you came into this game sort of eyeballing? This is what we want to try to do.
Well, you take what they give you. When they played big, they switched early, then they sort of went into a drop. Then they went small. We saw them switching everything against the Hawks. So, we just seen every coverage you could see all season long, and our team just has so much depth. So if you try to take one thing away, we'll just find the next guy.
In Booker, Ayton, Bridges, and I'm talking just about the young guys for the moment, just because this is their first run through the postseason, Chris. You've been through it so often. I don't know if proud is the right word, but how do you best describe what you're getting from these young guys and how you feel about what you're getting?
I kind of talk crazy to them sometimes because they're going to think it's sweet. Their first time getting in the playoffs, and they done got all the way to the finals.
Right.
But I think it's just a credit to them, especially Book. He's the one who's been here the longest, been through some tough seasons here in Arizona and Phoenix. So it's nice, man. It's a great group to be around, and we just want to keep having fun.
And I keep going back to you knowing what it is, because you do. And there are still 3 to get, and no one's throwing a parade after tonight. But how are you best able to stay